Hi Habibah, how you going?
Good, thank you.
That's good. It's good to see you. It's been a couple of weeks now. How have you been?
Good, not bad, thank you.
Yeah? So, how's life been since I saw you last?
Very much the same.
Okay. So no changes really? How's your family? How's your husband?
I never see him, he just works.
Okay. Things okay there though? Is it going okay?
Not really. Not very happy actually.
Okay. In your marriage?
Mm.
Okay. Let's talk about that just a little bit. Let's touch on that. What's making you unhappy?
Lots of reasons really. We have lots of financial pressures in our family. My husband controls me, tells me who I can see and who I cannot see, and has a very traditional role about what a woman should do in the house and just be at home.
Okay.
I feel like I have no control.
So you feel like you have very little control over lots of aspects of your life.
Very busy life. We have no money, no control. I have no support. Just too busy.
Yeah.
Too much pressure.
So you mentioned no support. So that is something that we've discussed in the past, not having much of a support network. So there's been no change there. There's no...
My husband thinks things like that are just silly ideas. Prefer me just to be a traditional wife at home, looking after our children.
Sure. And obviously that has an effect on the control you feel.
I have no control.
You spoke about your children. How are your children going? In particular, how's your daughter been going?
I just feel so ashamed when we talk about her. I failed as a mother.
So that is something that we spoke quite a lot about in our last session. Have you had a chance to engage with any of those services for your daughter that we spoke about last time?
No.
Okay. And it sounds like you're taking the behaviour that she's displaying quite personally.
Well, I'm her mother. It's my responsibility for my children to be well behaved and good people.
And your husband, is he much of a support with your daughter?
No.
No.
He thinks parenting is not his job. His job is to earn the money.
Okay. So another thing that we touched on in our last session was the medication that you've been taking. There was a few concerns that we discussed about getting some extra scripts from the GP, and we talked about ways that we could speak to the GP about the dangers of that. Has there been any change there? Did you go see a GP? So have you still been taking extra medication? Yeah. And why do you think that is? Why are we taking extra?
Sometimes I want to take them all. I feel like just taking the whole bottle.
Okay.
Too much pressure in my life. No one helps.
All right. A few things that are a little bit concerning that I just wanted to talk about there, Habibah. So I've just identified some things that I'd like to just go into a little bit more, if that's okay. Look, you're not the first person to feel like this, and you're not alone. We're here to help, and I want to work together with you today and beyond today to help out. but I just wanted to ask you a few direct questions if you feel comfortable with that today, just to try and help you out a little bit. Have you spoken to anybody else about how you've been feeling?
No.
Okay. Why do you think that is?
I feel that I should just be responsible for my own problems, and my husband thinks I should just be at home and just be a mother. And I feel it will bring shame to our family if I ask for help.
I wonder, have you ever thought about if you ask for help, it might actually be of a benefit?
It might.
How long have you been feeling like this? There's been I can see a big shift from how you've been feeling from last time we met over the last few weeks. So how long have you been feeling? You mentioned when I asked about the medication, you mentioned that you feel like just taking them all at times. You've been feeling like that for quite a while, or? Yeah. And how serious do you think you feel about that comment?
I don't know.
Have you actually thought about following through with it?
Sometimes when things are bad.
And as we said, you haven't spoken to anyone about it. Okay, look, there's a few things that have concerned me a little bit today, Habibah, but thank you for sharing with me. I think it's really important that you've felt comfortable to share with me, so thank you for that. I wanted to discuss with you something called a safety plan. Have you ever heard of that? No? So a safety plan is something that we can put together, and we can start on it today together, or if you want, I can give you a template and you can go home and you can work on it. And basically it's just identifying some triggers for you, some things that remind us or trigger our memory of when we're starting to feel, this way. So some things for some people might be, lack of sleep. You might be lashing out at your children. Your first thought might be jumping to having one of your pills, those kind of things as triggers. But we can talk about that a little bit more. Then we go on to look at some positives, positives in your life, things that you're good at. And we've discussed that in the past, so we can have a look at that. It also putting together a list of health professionals, emergency contacts, family, friends, if we can think of anyone, people that we can call, and that be there at the ready for our reference. And then just things that make us happy, that can distract us, perhaps, when we're feeling like this. And as I said, that is something that we've talked about in the past, some positives in your life with your children, so we can look at that. We've talked about the exercise, the getting out at the park with your daughter, that type of thing, maybe just getting yourself into a different environment might be helpful when we're feeling like this. So is that something that you would feel comfortable looking at? All right. Look, we might just go over it slightly together, and then we can do what you feel comfortable together, and I'll leave you with the template, and you can go home and have a look at it. So let me just go grab one, okay?
Okay.
All right. So Did you want a drink or anything before we
thank
go
you.
any further?
No, thank you.
You're okay?
Yes.
All right. So you want to jump straight into it?
Yes, please.
All right. Okay. So, yeah, first thing we need to it goes over is, now, did you want to answer it all together, or do you want me to just go over it with you, give you some examples, and then you can go home and have a think about it?
Yes.
Yep.
Yes, I'd
So
like that.
you'd prefer that. Okay. So I'm going to run through it with you, and then I'll leave you with this, and you can go home and do it in your own time, in your own space, okay?
Thank you.
Okay. And then you're not under pressure to answer it all today, so great. So look, basically it was what I was talking to you about. So it was identifying some triggers, you know, some thoughts and feelings that get you to feeling like this. You know, some warning signs for yourself. So you can, I've had that thought. Maybe this is, one of my triggers, one of my days. So, what do you think would be an example for you?
When my children misbehave.
Yep. And then what your reaction to that might be different on a different day?
Depends on how much money we have in the bank.
Right. So
a lot of our problems are about money. And when we have enough money, we're happy. Sometimes when we don't have money, lots of pressure.
okay. So the stress that you feel from the financial pressure, you think?
Yes.
Yep. Any others that you can think of?
Not really. Just mostly when life is very busy, and when my husband speaks to me or doesn't let me do things. Sometimes I can become angry with the children.
Sure. So perhaps we could put your behaviour towards your children, might be a trigger for you to realise, if you're your normal patient self, as opposed to reacting, in a more aggressive way towards the children, perhaps. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So I suppose those kind of things. Look, that is probably one of the harder questions to answer. So, have a think about that.
Think about that. Yes.
Yeah. And some, as I said, some other things, some positive things in your life. So I know when you're feeling like this, sometimes it can be quite difficult to think of the things that, we're good at, positive things, but can you think of some things that we can list?
Well, I enjoy cooking and I enjoy going for a walk when I can.
Yeah, they're great. Cooking is a good one, yeah. That can also be used, you enjoy it, and it can be used as a distraction as well.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. That's a great one. Okay, so the list of people that you can call. So I will help you out with that, with some of that. So I'm going to leave you with some, before you leave today, with some emergency contact numbers. And then also just some numbers for some health professionals that I think that we should get in contact with pretty quickly. So I'll follow up in the next few days with you on that. But also some emergency contacts, so if you need to speak to anyone straight away. And then look, have a think about friends or family. If there's anyone that you could just call just to have a chat and put them on the list as a reference. Okay?
Okay.
Okay. Now, something we didn't discuss before, do you feel safe at home?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Mm.
So, problems in your marriage, but you feel safe?
Yes.
Okay, that's one good thing. Fabulous.